To understand what tracking driving habits means here, look beyond the idea of a human watching every trip. Uber can combine identity records, vehicle and eligibility information, GPS movement, trip records, phone telemetry, and reports from riders or internal systems. Automated flagging is not the same thing as a final account decision, but the signals can become part of a consequential review process. The first layer is identity and eligibility. Uber describes profile information, real-time identity checks, licenses, vehicles, and background screening. These details help establish who is authorized to drive and whether the account matches the person and vehicle being used. The second layer is trip and location data. Route, pickup and drop-off context, time, distance, and GPS signals can describe how a trip was performed. Uber's public fraud guidance identifies behaviors such as deliberately increasing trip time or distance and manipulating GPS data as examples of activity that may lead to account action. The third layer is device and sensor data. Uber says its Driving Insights dashboard, powered by Cambridge Mobile Telematics, uses phone sensor data to generate driving insights and a score. The published categories include speeding, hard braking, harsh acceleration, sharp turning, and phone handling. The score appears in the driver app, and in some Uber Pro cities, thresholds can affect status. A single event does not necessarily explain a driver's behavior. Software can aggregate public record. This video is built around the original uploaded email, not a summary of it. The contributor alleges that Uber sent the email accidentally. That allegation is not independently verified. What we can verify is what the email visibly says. Page 1 is titled Fraud Appeal Process. The form says a corresponding team will review the driver's account and the specific tags in question. That sentence is the first direct proof of an account and tag review workflow. It does not tell us how the tags were generated. On the same page, the form says that the final decision will be relayed to the driver through Bliss, while the submitting agent receives notice by email. The email therefore shows a decision path, account review, internal communication, and an external notification. Page 2 shows the form asking an agent to check the driver's flow type. The page also displays an account card and an email field. The visible point is not that every field is used in every case. The visible point is that the appeal process connects a driver account to a product or flow category. Page 3 continues that structure. It shows Bliss contact records and a flow type selection that includes Uber Eats and Logistics and Uber Point-to-Point, or Black. The form also asks for a corresponding team. These are visible writing fields. They support the conclusion that the appeal process is organized by account, product flow, and internal team. Uber's public deactivation guidance says phone sensor data may indicate serious violations, such as unusually high speeding while using the driver app. It also describes crash or citation reports and repeated reports of poor, unsafe, or distracted driving. Uber says that when a complaint triggers review, it may check whether sensor data suggests safer behavior before taking action. The public description therefore presents sensor data as one input among several, not as proof that one sensor event automatically deactivates a driver. Fraud detection is a related but separate track. Uber says software may detect accounts that might be engaging in fraudulent activity, followed by manual review by a specialized team. Its published examples include trip inflation, GPS manipulation, false accounts, inaccurate account information, unapproved vehicles, fraudulent fees, and fraudulent trips. Uber's UK fraud page says that decisions are not made by automatic deactivation on that page, although automated detection may be used. Page 4 shows separate appeal examples, including MFI appeals and spot fraud appeal examples. These labels are visible in the uploaded document. They indicate different review paths, but the email does not define the full organizational structure behind them. Page 5 continues the spot examples and then asks which appeals process the case falls under. This is direct evidence that the form routes a case into a selected appeal process. It is not proof that the selected route itself establishes fraud. Page 6 shows a spot team selection and a driver region field. The form asks whether the driver operates in the United States or Canada region. This shows that region can be part of the review form. It does not tell us whether regional rules change the underlying detection system. The next highlighted section on page 6 is the Spot Fraud Appeal form. It says Spot will review the partner's account and the corresponding tags. It also says the final decision will be relayed through Bliss and warns against duplicate appeals for the same fraud hit. This is the clearest visible evidence of specialized review and appeal limits. Page 6 then requests a driver UUID and a driver Toolshed link, or a driver email if Tools access is unavailable. The safest technical description is that the form asks for an account identifier and an internal access path. The email does not define driver Toolshed's software, permissions, database, or scoring functions. It is a Google Forms receipt titled Fraud Appeal Process. It describes review of a driver's account and specific tags, routing through specialized appeal processes, and collection of identifiers such as a driver UUID, a driver Toolshed link or email, and an internal Bliss link. One example records the appeal reason as automated spot fraud. The receipt says that decisions are relayed through an in-app channel and that the submitting agent receives email notice. Those details show how a suspected action could be routed and appealed. They do not establish the proprietary logic behind a tag. They also do not independently verify the contributor's claim that Uber sent the email accidentally. The careful archival position is to preserve both the claim and the document, while distinguishing what each one can actually establish. The overall process can be summarized as detection, scoring or triage, case review, driver response, outcome, and appeal. Software can identify a possible pattern. A score, trend, or internal tag can shape how a case is routed. A specialized team may review the account and surrounding context. The driver may receive instructions or an appeal path. The result can affect warnings, earning opportunities, or access to the platform. Privacy and jurisdiction matter. Uber's driver privacy notice covers collection, use, sharing, retention, automated processes, and user choices, but it also explains that practices vary by jurisdiction. The notice specifically states that some listed processing is not performed in the European Economic Area, the United Kingdom, or Switzerland, and archival records should therefore preserve the date, region, product, and source version instead of assuming that one global rule applies everywhere. In conclusion, the uploaded document and Uber's public disclosures together show a system in which driver details and trip records can be combined into a behavioral record. Location data, phone sensors, reports, and fraud indicators can be combined into a behavioral record. The supplied artifact illustrates an appeal workflow. Uber's public materials describe sensor-based driving insights, safety review, fraud detection, and human involvement. The accidental send claim remains an allegation, not an independently verified fact. Preserving these distinctions is essential to creating a reliable public record. Page 7 shows a Bliss link and a field asking which specific action the partner wants to appeal. The example visible here is Airport 1, described as an airport warning. This demonstrates that the appeal can target a specific action, not merely a general complaint. Finally, page 7 shows the Reason for Appeal field, containing the words Automated Spot Fraud. That phrase is visible evidence of a label used in the appeal record. It does not reveal the algorithm, the data source, the threshold, or the reason this particular label was assigned. The careful conclusion is this: the uploaded email directly shows an account-specific workflow using tags, product, and flow categories. Categories, regions, internal identifiers, a Bliss link, a driver Toolshed link or email fallback, specialized review, and an automated fraud label. Public Uber materials provide separate context about phone sensor driving insights, software fraud detection, and human review. But the uploaded email does not prove which sensor or trip signal created any tag. It does not prove that a driver committed fraud, and it does not independently verify the accidental send allegation. The strongest archival record is the original page, the highlighted wording, and the exact distinction between what is visible, what is publicly described, and what remains unknown.